G'day guys and gal! Whilst the setting of Warhammer 40k is often referred to as Grimdark, like the amount of times Games Workshop has described it as such is on par with how many times I would wank a day when I first discovered the joys of self-molestation. But despite the groaning of various neckbeards, Warhammer is a lot more than just that. It has moments of noble bright, romance, hope, victory for the good guys, and yes, genuine humour. Even in a galaxy full of war, death, destruction and genocide, there is always time for a laugh, often as a result of said tragedy. There is actually a strongly supported scientific theory that humanity developed humour and laughing as a coping mechanism to deal with really bad shit. So by that logic, Warhammer is one of the most funny things in existence. Before we get started, there are things in life that we are ignorant of that we really shouldn't be, especially as blokes. A big one for us is skincare. I guarantee most of you watching this have absolutely zero skincare routine or even would know where to start. Being an oily Warhammer nerd does that to you. So today I've partnered up with Geology to sort you out and get you on the right path. Pimply, oily, dry, patchy or discolored. These are all signs of poor skin health that are all easily fixable with a skincare routine. Geology works by sending you a package with a day and night moisturizer, face wash and a special under eye serum to help with dark rings under the eyes that is common amongst us gamers. It also provides super easy to follow instructions on how to use these products. The coolest bit is that each skincare routine is tailored to you depending on your skin's needs. If you want to take this another step further, Geology has launched a community Discord where they are hosting giveaways, special offers, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Like, they've really gone for it, definitely worth checking out. So to get on board and get up to 50% off your first package, use my link below. This is an unreal deal, guys. Most decent skincare products cost way more than this and it only comes in one bottle. This gives you like 5. Cheers to Geology for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the top 10 moments, characters or themes in the Warhammer 40k setting that are genuinely funny. There won't be a particular order to them as humour is very subjective. Let's get into it. First off, I want to pick out a moment I laughed out loud to while I was reading the Night Lord's Omnibus. It's important to quickly note that the Night Lord's books are very serious. There is next to no humour in them, as it follows the tale of a bunch of broody, sadistic Night Lords who are just trying to survive in a galaxy that hates them. So when something funny does happen, it catches you off guard. Basically, one of the Night Lords was called Uzas, and he was succumbing to the influence of Khorne, occasionally going on killing sprees amongst his own ship's crew to sate his bloodlust. After one of his alleged killings goes too far, Talos, the leading Night Lord, declares him a sinner and orders him to paint his gauntlets red to mark his shame. He then tells him he only has like 20 minutes or something to meet him on the ship's bridge. It's a tense and pivotal moment as Uzas feels intense shame. He then looks around and is like, where the fuck am I gonna find red paint? The mental image of Uzas, who has been painted as this hardcore berserker, having to rapidly ruffle around storage areas and ask crewmen where to find red paint just cracked me up. It was subtle, quick, and not overt, but it stuck with me. Not every bit of humour needs a big setup or a punchline. One of the funniest and most lighthearted series in the setting is The Adventures of Commissar Cain, hero of the Imperium. That doesn't mean it's PG by any means. Our boy Cain gets his dick wet and it graphically describes the death of his men and the enemy. But Cain is a pretty comical guy, and since he seems to be literally chosen by the God Emperor of Mankind as his champion, he always manages to save the day, often unintentionally. Hence his series has a lot of funny moments. Some of them are lighthearted and comical, others are actually really dark, which I fucking love. My favourite dark humour moment was when the book discusses a planet where guardsmen who are suffering from PTSD go to get rehabilitated. Some are there for a few days, weeks or even months, whilst more severe cases are there indefinitely, never heard from again. It goes on to say that this planet also happens to be the one that exports the most amount of combat servitors in the Imperium. This made me laugh as it takes a moment to get, and I appreciate their ability to use the grim darkness of 40k in a funny way. Our third funny moment from Warhammer 40k lore is also from the Cain books. There's a scene where Cain's officers are having a meeting with a mining station's executives about an imminent orc attack. The scene itself isn't that exciting or funny, but it's told through the writings of a meeting scribe who doesn't think anyone will actually end up reading his notes and transcript, so he just ends up insulting the fuck out of nearly everyone in the meeting, calling the administratum chick a self-righteous bitch. He then talks about how the guardsman colonel is really hot. The best part is that these notes were being read by an Inquisitor and placed into Cain's records, meaning various other Inquisitors would end up reading them. Imagine you're writing some bullshit notes insulting your superiors that you'll soon forget about, only for them to end up being scrutinized by an organization that has the authority to blow up a well-populated planet on a whim. Good gags. The final funny bit I'll include from Cain's books comes from the overzealous Lieutenant Sula. Sula was a reckless officer in Cain's regiment, leading her men into dangerous and poorly thought out attacks that should have killed them all, but didn't because she kept getting lucky. As such, Cain and the other officers didn't like her much and thought she was a bit of a whack bitch. Ironically, her risk-taking would almost always pay off, resulting in her eventually becoming a highly respected and decorated general before she retired. This inflated the shit out of her ego, so she wrote a book that detailed her battles and time in Cain's regiment. Unfortunately, the book is very cringe, being written by someone who sounds like they'd enjoy the taste of their own shit. It says stuff like, "The pride in my breast swelled with his glorious majesty as the brave men and women under my command charged forth, cleansing our Lord's noble planet from the heretical filth that dare attempt to corrupt it." The Inquisitor who puts Cain's diaries together into a coherent story gets really annoyed because Sula's book is the only source that plugs in multiple gaps with Cain's narrative. Gaps that exist due to Cain's nature of only talking about his direct experience rather than the overall context or events of the entire situation. The Inquisitor literally tells the reader to feel free to skip the parts where she has to quote Sula because it's so cringy. Orcs are very funny. Their language, culture, and logic always puts a smile on every Warhammer fan's face, so this list would not be complete without mentioning Orc warlord Griguts, who accidentally travelled back in time during a warp jump. Upon his time travel, he now had a few options. He could use the "I'm from the future" trick to draw orcs to his side, he could team up with his past self, he could intercept enemies on the way to battlefields he was already aware of. He could have done those things, but instead, he decided to kill his past self in order to obtain another copy of his favourite gun so that he could dual wield them. The result of this moment of retarded hilarity was that the Orc War under his previous self's command got confused and ran out of steam. Dude literally hit New Game Plus so he could just get another copy of his favourite legendary weapon. I respect that. The Orcs aren't the only race or faction capable of having a good laugh. There are a few pranksters in Warhammer 40k, the Laughing God being chief among them, but the funniest has to be the Changeling. The Changeling is a demon of Titsnitch with obscenely powerful shapeshifting abilities. This ability means that only the most keenly sensitive people, such as Grey Knights, could be able to tell. Like, it's so good that even the Chaos Gods can't tell. As such, the Changeling has committed some of the ballsiest pranks in the entire galaxy. One time he stole a Hellblade from Khorne, and he used it to cut Slaanesha's hair while she slept, resulting in a war between the two gods. He then placed Nurglings onto Khorne's skull throne, so that when Khorne next took a seat, a large fighting noise followed by a wet squish was heard. Yes, you heard that right, the Changeling whoopee cushioned Khorne, once again resulting in a big war. The Changeling has done shit like this for thousands of years, and he ain't stopping anytime soon. Now for less so a character or moment, and more so a funny theme. Games Workshop's naming conventions. You can tell in Warhammer 40k's early days the creators were having a lot of fun with it, naming stuff after their mates, famous people, or just as references to jokes. The best of these is the fact that the greatest orc in the entire galaxy is named after Margaret Thatcher. Gazkel Ma'uruk Thraka Margaret Thatcher. Mind blown. Other examples include the fact that Weber guns are Andrew patterned, being a reference to Andrew Lloyd Webber, as well as Corvus Corax's name translating to Raven Raven, not to mention Ferrus Manus, whose name literally means Iron Hands. A last little naming gem I'll give ya is that the first ever Inquisitor was called Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau. Must have been one hell of an Inquisitor. In a similar vein to the naming conventions, the old Games Workshop liked to take the absolute piss, calling one of their planets Birmingham, the Black Planet, a planet that receives next to no sun, gets very little tourists and visitors, and the people on the planet have regressed into cultural isolation, with primitive technology such as muskets still being their go-to. Birmingham is a city in England, hence the GW folks in Nottingham were having a good laugh at their neighbour's expense, which is something I can always get behind. Whilst this is the best example, there are a few other planets with comical names, such as the Blood Drinker's world's name translating to Leech, not to mention mention there is literally a Slaaneshi world in the Eye of Terror, which is just a big ass naked man in the fetal position. Planets, man, they can really get ya. The next funny thing is the mere existence of Trazyn the Infinite. This Necron overlord is hilarious, whether it be from punching dinosaurs in the face, thinking up petty ways to seriously inconvenience his rivals, or the fact that he's put together the galaxy's greatest museum with himself as the only person who actually appreciates it. When Trazyn and Orokin were having their feud, Orokin often got the upper hand due to his bullshit hacks time travel abilities. Trazyn was enraged and felt powerless, hence he spent centuries hacking and bypassing the security on Orokin's teleporter, so that he could teleport to Orokin, shoot him point blank in the face with a big ass gun, and then teleport home. The best part is this literally achieved nothing beyond fucking over Orokin. The damage quickly healed, Orokin didn't really lose any time or power. Trazyn was just so mad that he needed to vent, and he felt that that was the only way he could do it. The man literally has Pokeballs that he can throw at enemies to capture them, or throw them on the ground to unleash an entire army he has stored. When he heard the Inquisition were going to destroy a statue of him on an Imperial planet he inadvertently saved, he stole it first, so that he could keep it and admire it. The people who made it thought he was a very skinny space marine from the fictional Silver Skulls chapter, when he killed the orcs that were invading them. Trazyn has arguably the strongest personality in the entire setting, and reading any lore about him is guaranteed to leave a smile on your face. And finally, the most retarded thing in Warhammer lore I have ever seen, Digganobz. I don't know why, but that word just feels racist. The Diggers, oh okay, that's why, were a group of humans on a world that they shared with orcs. Due to their proximity, the Diggers became orky, painting their skin green and literally cosplaying as orcs. This got a wacky reaction from the orcs. Some thought it was funny, some thought it was cute, and others thought it was cringe. Either way, the orcs and the Diggers formed an formed an uneasy truce, trading items and culture with one another. GW even released a full mini range for these guys, which has since been discontinued since painting your skin to match a different race and calling yourself a digger is not socially acceptable anymore. But it is fucking hilarious. There are a ton more funny ass moments in Warhammer 40k lore, but here are 10 standout ones. If this video does well, I'll make another one with another 10 funny ass moments. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of hilarious hentai. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more funny content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.